Welcome to Couv.com. I'm David Medor, and we're going to talk about park fees, the entrance fees for parks. Larry, you gave me a call. We talked for the first time just a few days ago. This is Larry White. Larry White is a citizen here. He speaks for himself. He doesn't speak for any agency, although you do work for the Planning Commission for the city of Washougal.
That's correct.
But you're not speaking for them. You're speaking just simply from your own personal experience. Larry, you called and you were pretty fired up because we have these signs that are posted all over the place, it seems, in a number of our state parks throughout the county that really serve as eyesores, it appears. $10, you got to pay $10 to be able to use this park, to park here, or you can pay a $30 fee to get a park pass. You have some opinions on that. Is that really something that we ought to be doing here, and is there something we can do about it?
Well, I'm against park fees altogether, use fees for public parks, whether they be city, county, or state, first off. And
a lot of people are. The question is, do we require them? Do we need them? Is there anything we can do about it?
I think we don't need them. I think that I don't think they're producing anything in a lot of the cases. I don't think there's any income being produced from it. I visited recently 3 parks. I'm not sure whether they were state, city, or
county,
what, but I do know that one of them had the Discover passes printed, posted everywhere, and that was Beacon Rock Park. I went there with my wife. Part of our health program is our doctors have asked us to walk. We're senior citizens. We have a Labrador, a retired guide dog, and we like to go for walks. We used to go to Beacon Rock Park all the time and walk. Well, the last time we showed up there were posted everywhere signs that you must pay a $10 fee, and if you did not pay the fee, there's threat of fines, major fine.
Isn't it like a $250 fine?
I believe it's $250 fine I think it says is the minimum fine.
Whoa. And I expect if someone's going to find it hard to pay a $10 fee, it could be out of work, could be just simply barely making it. There are a lot of people that are just having a hard time in our county. A $250 minimum fine could be terrified. Devastating.
It would be devastating. While I visited that park, I can afford to pay the $10. I refuse to pay the $10 and use and enjoy the park when I know so many people can't enjoy it. And if I pay that $10, then I'm endorsing that.
You're rewarding the system.
That system. And for doing something that I think is oppressive to people that are out of work, have no means to pay that. I have a daughter that's a single mother, works really hard, long hours, to raise 2 teenage boys, and $10 is, that's a meal for them. That could be a meal for them.
Sure.
It might be a little more, it might be a little less, but that's a meal for them. Someone that's out of work to pay $10, they couldn't visit very often, and they should be able to visit as often as they like.
Now, you said you used to go to that park all the time, walk a lot. In other words, this fee is a new development. It didn't used to be there.
It was not there. There was no fee there. It was not posted. I was not aware of any fee. And when I got there, I saw these signs everywhere. It was like a scourge on the landscape. It was just like almost as bad as graffiti. It was horrible. There were signs everywhere. Everywhere you turned, there was a sign. In that whole huge park, and I don't know how big it is. It might be 200 or 300 acres. It's huge. It's all being maintained. Lawns are being mowed. Trees are being trimmed. The parking lot's being swept. All that maintenance. And I could only find, besides myself, 4 people in the park. There were 3 cars parked there. One of them had a permit tag hanging on its window. The other 2 cars, there were families milling around real close by the cars. And I'm thinking they were thinking, well, if we see anybody coming, we're going to run for the car and leave. It just, you know, there was a family there with their small children. They had a older car. I was thinking, you know, they shouldn't feel intimidated to be on public land. They shouldn't feel intimidated to be on land that belongs to them.
Publicly funded.
That
Do they
might
charge
get a
for motorcycles as well?
There, as I was leaving, I saw a motorcycle parked near in the parking area, in a different parking area as I was leaving the park. And there was a man out there taking pictures. And I saw that it had a Alaska plate on it, on the motorcycle. I ride a motorcycle, and I have a little bit of, feel like a rapport with those guys. So I just hollered out of my car, out the window. I said, hey, you better take those pictures fast and get out of here before you're arrested. Just joking with him. And he said, well, you know what? They can arrest me. They can put me in jail. I'll never, ever pay them that $10. And he came over to the car and he talked to me. He said, you know, I'm taking pictures all over the Northwest. And I'm taking pictures to assemble for a book that is going to be published of beautiful scenery in the Northwest. And he said, I'm not going to, he said, I've been seeing these discover signs everywhere. He said, I am not going to pay $10 every time I stop. And if they want to try to force me to pay that, they will never ever get that $10 out of me.
So it was an independent fellow who is
from Alaska.
From Alaska. Yeah, Alaska has a lot of independence out there. Yeah. Well, you've seen over the years, you've been here for, well, how long have you been in Clark County?
I've been here since 1993, so I don't know, is that 15, 20, I don't know, 20 years or close to it.
Plenty long enough.
Yeah.
And over that period of time, you've been in and out of a number of these parks, Vancouver Lake, the Battleground Lake. And so you've seen before and after these fees have gone in. Is there a contrast? Are fees really deterring people significantly?
Last week, I hadn't been to Vancouver Lake for a long time. So I asked my grandson, I said, I'm going to go into town, I'm going to take the dog and we're going to go for a walk and get some exercise. You want to go with me? He said, sure, Papa. So he hops in the car and we go. We get over to Vancouver Lake, and well, first we went to Frenchman's Bar. That's where I wanted to go first. Okay. We went to Frenchman's Bar, and pulled up to, there was a kiosk in the middle of the road, and there was a sign there that said a fee of $3. And I thought, $3, now I want to be here for half an hour maybe, and I've got to pay $3. I can afford to pay it, but you know, I don't know how many people can.
Yeah.
And $3 is a half gallon of milk or a loaf of bread for a family. And again, I'm looking at those park fees and I'm thinking, this isn't right. So I thought, I'm going to drive in there and just see what's going on in that park. So I drove in. There wasn't a soul in that park. And this is 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a sunny, nice day on a Thursday. Granted, it was the middle of the week, but...
Was school out?
Yeah. School's out.
There should be kids out there, right?
Yeah.
Families?
Yeah. There was
moms.
no one in the park that I could see. There was not one single car parked in the parking area.
And that was for a $3 fee.
For a $3 fee.
And the other parks, they're talking about a $10 fee.
Right. I pulled out of there and I went down the road, and about a half a mile down the road was a parking area for free parking, and there were about 5 cars in that parking area. And I pulled in there and parked and walked around a little bit with the dog and my grandson. And There was a real small beach there, no bathrooms. It just was not an area that a family could really use. So that was disappointing to me to see that those people had to compromise and park there when there's public land that belongs to them just up the street. Why would they be parking there if they could park up the street at no cost?
Where all the facilities
They were
are
avoiding the fee.
Yeah.
And there's no fees, there's no revenue being generated if there's nobody there.
Explain that. Well, okay. So there's no revenue being generated if nobody or hardly anybody goes, and there's overhead associated with that. You've got to have people that make it their. You can have employees that go out there, collect it, enforce it, check it.
There was an employee in the kiosk booth, but it was saying to pay on your own and self-pay, and the employee was not available to speak. You know, when I looked over there, they just turned their back and looked the other way. So after I finished the walk at Frenchman's Bar, I thought, well, you know, let's go over and take a look at Vancouver Lake. I haven't seen it in a while. So we drove over there, and I was thinking, you know, maybe one of these hot days we'll take the family over there, have a barbecue, and go fishing or something like that.
Sure.
Or go swimming, and they used to.
It's a nice park.
The kids, when they were little, my daughter used to take them there. It was something free that they could do, and there was a swimming beach there, and the boys would swim in the water, and so it was a nice day. So I drove up there again. There's a little cabin in the middle of the street. Nobody's in it, and there's a sign: self-pay, $3, and I drove in. My grandson said, "Papa, there's a fine if you." It says I thought he said a $250 minimum fine if you are caught with any violation, and he was warning me of that. I said, "Well, good luck to him in ever collecting it from me." But I drove around through the parking lot there, and there wasn't one single car or person in that whole entire park. But I have to tell you, the park was beautiful. But for what purpose? The lawn would look like it had been freshly mowed. It was green and watered or irrigated. Everything looked wonderful.
So we got well-kept parks that are being maintained. We have our property taxes. I think it's like 45 cents per. There's a portion of our property taxes that is automatically collected and designated for our parks. So these are public parks. They are publicly funded, and this extra fee that's being charged has overhead. You got to be able to get a net back. You collect so much, it takes so much for employees and enforcement and administration costs and all those things, and then you have maybe hopefully something positive, but in this case it's likely negative. It's actually costing more money to actually add those fees than you end up collecting from it. So certainly we don't want to deter people from going to the parks. There are, especially in the area where people don't have backyards, they live in apartments or whatever, they want to get out and play. So the argument for fees is that, well, we need more money. We need to be able to, there's only 67% of the costs are paid for by property taxes and other taxes, so therefore we need to be able to get it from somewhere. That's the argument for it. What can be done? Can you imagine what can be done?
Excuse me just for 1 minute.
Sure.
You hit on something that just really, I was really thinking about.
Okay.
And that is, and I think it needs to be emphasized.
All right.
You said people that live in apartments. Those are the people that maybe have the least income, the least means to pay for it, and the most need. They're surrounded by asphalt, and maybe they have a small playground required by the city that they live in for their children, and that's it. No natural beauty, not much in the way of trees.
So we want to encourage them to get out there and enjoy. This is the Northwest.
They need it the most.
Sure.
And they can afford it least.
And those are the ones that they deterred the most by this this barrier. It may
Why
look
should
like
they have to park a mile up the street? And in one of the areas, there was no parking signs on both sides of the streets. So you got to park 2 miles down the street, carry your lawn chairs, your blanket, your picnic basket, and your ice chest 2 miles to not pay the fee. That's not right.
Okay.
It's not right.
So that's the problem. We've made the case that there's a problem. It's really counterproductive. We got these beautiful parks, and yet we are detouring people from using those parks, discouraging people from using
How
those parks.
about hiring some of those people to mow the lawns so they can...
Well, actually, you struck out a little point there, and that is that we have Park Service, a department of public employees where we're buying tractors and we're doing what private industry could do, potentially better. Not necessarily, but the idea is, well, I fall back on a principle that government should never do what private industry can do better. Government should only do what government can do that private industry really can't do very well. So open it up to competition. Competition will always help customer service to improve. It'll always help the customer to get a better deal. It will tune up the company or the service provider, the agency, because they want to be able to make the world a better place and make themselves a better place, earn their keep in a way that they have pride in their work. All of those good things happen when competition happens. We don't have any competition. We give a monopoly to the Park Service, to the Parks Department, and it's not necessarily very productive. So I would love to be able to see that 67% of what? Well, maybe we're 67%. Maybe it should be, the cost should be only 67%. We don't know until we open it up to the possibility of increasing customer service, doing a better job, giving private industry a shot at it, along with letting the existing department bid on it as well. Let the best service provider, the most economical.
And there could be a net gain in jobs, not a net loss. People that are already approved for city work, they already have been screened and vetted. Why not put them somewhere where we need their work? Maybe they could have a better job. Maybe they could work for the fire department or the police department where we need more services, or somewhere else in government where we need improved services, and put some other people to work, private business, for private business, mowing lawns, trimming trees, cleaning bathrooms, those things.
If this fee system is an attempt to help supplement the cost, and it's not really bringing in very much, it's not, effectively you're not saving very much at all, then really the best solution to go to the root of the problem is how do we save? How do we get these parks, make sure that they're well maintained, and let the people use them so that there's no deterrent there at all? And how do we save a little bit? Well, the better way to save it is to allow that competition. Surely that's going to be more effective than what we're doing now. Now, I believe that if I understand correctly, and I could be wrong, that the state parks are the ones that we're talking about: Battleground Lake, Beacon Rock, Vancouver Lake. Is Louisville Park, is that a county or is that a state?
Louisville Park has a fee also. I haven't gone there for a long time because of the fee, and it wasn't, the last experience I had there, I just didn't feel welcome there. I felt like I was being watched like this the whole time. And it felt intimidating.
Well, if everyone to have some freedom to be able to just be yourself and do what you want to do, enjoy, a park is a good way to do that.
Yeah.
Relax, let your hair down, enjoy, throw the frisbee.
Right.
Don't worry about being made into a criminal. Yeah. So the question is,
one of the things that occurred to me is, besides what you're saying about private industry, there's a huge resource of people that are out of work, have nothing to do with their days after they've looked for work, a huge resource of senior citizens and who are volunteering and are willing to do just about anything to help to make the city and the county a better place to live. And I'm sure that if it would just for the asking, there would be lots of people who would volunteer to do some of the things that are being paid for.
Where the community pitches in and helps the community, that's very good. We have a very healthy parks foundation here. We have a number of people that deeply care about our parks, and they want to be able to they want to bless the rest of us. They want to be able to enjoy them, and it's not just they themselves. They're there to contribute, to volunteer, to help others. A lot of these individuals actually contribute of their own funds to help buy new resources, to improve the parks. I don't think we're lacking for volunteers. And we may not be able to, I don't think we're going to have to ask. I think it's a matter of turning them loose and saying, you want to be able to volunteer? Okay, sure, all right, we'll let you volunteer. And we don't necessarily have to say, no, our insurance doesn't let you do that. You know, those kind of excuses. Well, we already got insurance for employees. Well, the insurance ought to be extended to whoever does that service. Especially, you got to have insurance for a park anyway, for people just to use it. So
I agree.
That's a problem easily solved.
Tolls on bridges, tolls on public land, highways, parks.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Well, you're right. It's a toll on a park.
Yeah.
Both of those things. If there is, it's a user fee, and people say you need to have user fees. Well, yeah, we are paying user fees when we pay our property
it's fair.
taxes.
The people who aren't using it don't have to pay, and the people who are using it pay.
But the problem with this is that we are all paying for it with our property tax.
Right. And that's the way people make decisions that don't go to the parks.
Yeah.
And are not connected with middle class people, Americans.
I believe, I'm an inventor. And a lot of times people will say, no, you can't do that. And I think, okay, why not? Let's probe deeper.
Absolutely.
Let's probe deeper. There's got to be a way to solve that.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. Why? If it's been the same way for 20 years, let's break it, take it apart, look at it, see if we can make it better.
There's got to be a way. I love to solve problems. This is a problem. There's got to be a better way. And I will do the best I can to find that way. I know we will solve this problem. I'm committed to getting rid of that user fee, that toll on our parks, as much as I am to keep those tolls off of our highways and our roads, because we're already paying for both of those things with some form of tax. And that tax has been sufficient all the way up until the recent years when we're using those funds not so wisely. We can use them more wisely, we can get rid of, we can save, we can make smarter decisions, and we can get rid of those deterring, those punishing, those penalties, just to be able to use the facilities that have already been paid for.
I agree totally.
Okay, let's do what we can to make it happen, okay?
I know that you will.
All right, thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Great conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.